Hi there, everyone. Welcome to episode 97 of the Mike Fermain Show, the place where we do daily interviews with successful online entrepreneurs. This is your host, Mike Thomas, and today on the show, we've got Mark Thompson. You've probably either you've heard of him or you've gotten an email from someone that has been promoting a product that he's had his name attached to. He's been behind the marketing genius behind Longtail Pro's recent relaunch. Also, there's a launch going on right now at the time of doing this interview where Wilco DeCray is launching a Facebook Pages plugin, which I did interviews with both of them about that. And yeah, what he pretty much does is he goes out and he'll find products that are usually they're successful in the fact that they've had some buyers, but they haven't really had the exposure and the sales that he thinks that they could really get. So he takes those, kind of repackages them a bit, uses his connections with all kinds of different JV partners, and then relaunches the products. And I really wanted to find out how he does it, how he got from he's got his website here, searchcreatively.com, if you're watching the video show, going from offline SEO to getting into creating his own products and then launching others. So it's a really interesting journey, and he's got tons of tips, especially for people that are interested in launching a product of their own. Let's get right into the interview. Here's Mark Thompson. We are here today with Mark Thompson. Mark, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate you having me.
Let's get right into it. And Mark, for people who might not have heard of you yet, let's kind of dig into kind of who you are and how you got to where you are today.
Sure. Well, I've been an internet marketer for about 7 or 8 years now. I've been doing it ever since college, and I guess in college I went to school for marketing, but they didn't necessarily have an internet marketing degree per se. So you couldn't really go to school for what I have learned. So a lot of what I've learned, I've been self-taught, especially in the very beginning of my career. And that kind of evolved into working at a few different marketing agencies. Mm-hmm. So I was in more of the offline world, helping local clients with SEO, pay-per-click, social media campaigns, and that's really where I got my start in internet marketing, and really just learning from blogs and videos and training and all different products, and just trying to learn everything I could. And I just grew kind of a passion for it. So I kind of just fell into internet marketing. And so I worked for a few different agencies for about 3 or 4 years, and kind of honed my skills and learned on the job, if you will. And I feel like that's probably some of the best training you can get, is actually being in the trenches and actually doing things yourself. So yeah, at the time, before I even got into the agency or working for an agency, I wasn't very technical. I didn't know how to set up a website or even install WordPress. So I learned all that kind of stuff and really built the foundation for the rest of my career after I started working at a few different agencies. And that was really great because I got to learn from designers and developers. I got to work alongside them, and not to say that I want to be a designer or developer, but I got to kind of learn some of the technical aspects that are involved with being a marketer. So that was really, really cool. And then about 3 years ago, I went off and started my own agency. So Search Creatively is my marketing company here in North Carolina, where I live. And I basically took everything that I learned and was doing, and I applied it and kind of wanted to be my own boss. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, and so I still run that company today, and I help out local businesses with, again, SEO, pay-per-click, social media, email marketing campaigns, and so that's really been my forte. But over the last 2 years, I've kind of evolved my business into more of the online world, and so half of my business now is offline, which is help servicing clients, and the other half now is online, being more product creation, consulting, and affiliate marketing. And so this area of marketing has really grown and has proven to be more lucrative for my business, and it's something that I'm actually a lot more passionate about, because I'm actually marketing my own products and not necessarily other people's products. And I've always felt that if you're a good marketer, you know what you're doing. You can drive traffic. You can generate an email list. You can build. You can create sales. There's no reason why you can't apply those concepts and do it for yourself. And so that's really over the last 2 years what I have been doing.
So yeah, I hear so many different things going on here. Like you went off to school and you got a education in marketing, and there wasn't really like there's no internet marketing course when you go to school.
Yeah.
So it's like even people that are interested in doing online stuff. I mean, I guess there's I don't know. When did you graduate, Mark?
Oh five.
Oh five. So I mean, I graduated in '03, and I don't remember
Okay.
there being too many like anything to do with internet marketing. But you kept on going. You didn't know how to do a WordPress site. You got a job in the real world, and I'm wondering now that you're doing kind of like like your brick and mortar business and half of the kind of warrior forum, or not even warrior forum. Now you're doing what is this, forum special offers.
Forum special offers. Yeah, it's just kind of a spin-off of Warrior Forum, but same concept.
How did you make that leap kind of into the forums and into doing these kinds of product launches?
Honestly, I kind of fell into it. So years ago, I was a buyer. I mean, I still buy lots of different products, but I started off being a buyer, just signing up on people's email lists, and then they drive me to the Warrior Forum or Forum Special Offers or a ClickBank offer, and I just I was like, I was digesting all this information, and then at one point I was like, I've learned a lot over my career. Why can't I go and do the same thing and create my own products and sell them? And I mean, I quickly learned that you need to have affiliates, you need to have an email list, you need to have a way of distribution, getting your product out there. And once I learned that's what you need to have a successful product, I actually found a mentor to help me with that side of the business because I was still relatively new to that side, and I was in the process of creating my first product, and I had a really good product. I invested a lot of money in it, looking back on it, but I really didn't know how to get it out there, and so I basically I contacted this one mentor who, I had bought his products before, and he seemed like he really knew what he was talking about.
Who was it?
And, Tim Atkinson.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's been a little controversial over the last few years, if you know anything about Tim. But back years ago when I met him, he had amazing content. He knew what he was doing. He knew how to sell products online, and so I contacted him. And I said, hey, I have this product that's in development. It's almost ready to go. I'd love to launch it with you. And looking back on it, it was probably one of the best decisions I ever made, was actually hiring a mentor to learn from. And there's no better way to accelerate your growth in your business than hiring or bringing on a mentor or following someone's footsteps who's done it before. And so that's what I did. And so we launched our first product, or my first product. Tim had launched products before, but he had that following. He had a lot of affiliates. He knew all the people in the space, and I really didn't. And so that was a tremendous way for me to get my foot in the door and almost attach my name or associate my name with him when we launched the product, and be introduced to lots of top affiliates with being relatively new. And anyone that's new and is trying to launch a product, you realize it's not very easy to just connect immediately with top affiliates, and more or less they're not going to promote your products probably because they don't know who you are.
Yeah.
You don't have the track record, and so I would strongly recommend anybody who is trying to get into the internet marketing space or selling products online to find that mentor and work with someone, and that's a great way to accelerate your growth.
Now, when you approached him, had you had any previous relationship with him before? Had you been commenting on his blogs or purchased his products, or did he know of you before you reached out to him?
And the funny thing is, no, not really. I was really persistent for whatever reason. I really liked his products, and I purchased all of his products, and I followed. We became Facebook friends, and so we started. We may have had a conversation back and forth on Facebook, and then I found him on Skype, and I started having some random Skype messages with him. And then finally, I just, one day we just had a conversation. I was like, hey, I have this product. I've spent thousands of dollars getting it created. I've put a lot of time and effort into it. Is this, something you'd be interested in? And I told him about the product, and he really liked it. And then from there, it just kind of snowballed, and we ended up doing some other projects together. But I was just really kind of persistent about it.
What was the product?
List Eruption.
I've heard of
So
it. Yeah,
it's a WordPress plugin. It helps you to build your email list, and just the process of building out a product, promoting it. You learn so much from it, and I mean, it's amazing. I learn something new after every single launch that I do. There's always some new lesson or strategy that I incorporate. Just from learning from the launch, and so. That was a very kind of special launch. It really didn't do that well. I didn't even break even on the product, but it was a good product. People liked it, and it opened the doors for my career. Really.
Is it still not, like, even in the long run? Have you still?
I mean, I've broken even now. I mean, now that I have a larger email list and I have some affiliates, I mean, we've done things to kind of leverage that product, and I mean, it's broken even now. But I mean, looking back on it, I've definitely made some mistakes. I mean, I spent, I don't know, over 20 grand on the product. I mean, it was, and at the time, that was a lot of money for me. That was my first product, and I wanted it to be, I was at the point where I was like, I needed everything to be perfect. And I mean, now it's like, I understand that things are not going to be perfect for every launch I do, and you need to kind of get it out there and get it tested. And I mean, there's a whole process to it now, but I learned so much from just doing that one launch.
No, you say that you made some mistakes. I want to hear when mistakes comes to your head, like what are the first things that are the biggest mistakes that you were making?
Well, understanding the amount of money that you're going to put into a product, and the demand for it. Like with List Eruption, it's an amazing product, but it doesn't cater to a large audience. It's more for the advanced email marketer, and so that the fact that it catered to an advanced market, there's a limited segment of people that are going to want to buy that product, and so that was one of the reasons that not a lot of people purchased it. We had a lot of support. It just didn't convert very well because it was so advanced. And so that was the one the one problem that I made, was not really catering to a larger audience. And then the other problem was I was getting kind of feature happy. We'd add a feature to the plugin, and then we'd be like, oh, let's add this. This is a really cool idea. Let's put this in. And before you know it, $2,000 here, $5,000 here, another grand here. It all adds up. And every time you add a feature, those things can conflict, and the plugin may not work right on someone's WordPress theme. And so I've kind of learned that simplicity is, or less is more type thing.
Yeah. Do you think it's easier to market a product that has less bells and whistles because it's maybe less complicated to explain to people than it would be to explain something that does one thing just really well?
Yeah, it depends. I mean, I've seen both. I've seen it both ways. If it's very clean, very easy to use, very simple, the end user, the average marketer understands how to use it. They know that there's not going to be a tremendous learning curve if I purchase this product. But that's not to say that a product that has all of these features and is a complete solution can't sell just as well or even better. And I've gone both ways, and both work. But all in all, the product, it needs to resonate with the user, and it needs to be easy to use. Whether it has a lot of features or not, it still needs to be easy to use. Okay,
so you launched you had your first product. You put like blood, sweat, and tears into it. You put all this money. Would you say 20 grand you put into it?
Yeah, at least. And I mean, just tons of time.
Yeah. So you put like a lot of time, a lot of money into it, and you were expecting results. You thought, okay, this is something that if I need it, other people are going to need it, and I'm going to kill it with it. And it didn't turn out the way that you wanted to. What happened next? After you developed that relationship with Tim Atkinson, and you had that initial product launch, that first disappointment, where did you go from there?
Well, what's funny about it is, I mean, looking back on it, it was a disappointment, but when I was in the moment, I was like, man, this is awesome. We just made like a few $1,000s in, 4 hours. I was like,
Hmm.
holy cow, this is crazy, and it's very addicting. It's addicting to launch products. Not to say that it should be like your only business, but from there, I was just like, man, now that I'm starting to understand things, I'm starting to connect with more affiliates, and I'm
Hmm.
starting to build my email list. I want to learn from my mistakes and start building more products. And so I started doing more products. I started doing more video training. I started doing things that didn't require a lot of investment up front. Like with training,
Key. That's a
you
key
know,
point there because you learned from that
right?
initial experience that you'd put all this
Yeah.
money in and it didn't necessarily amount to what you'd expected. And then, okay, put less
Right.
money in and maybe it will work out.
Right. And so I started doing more training products. So all it really meant was just me, my time putting together some slides, some presentations. And so I did a bunch of different video training courses. And those, started to sell well. For each product that I created, it kind of aggregated. I got more and more affiliates on board. I got my email list started to grow, and it was that snowball effect. And so every product I was learning more and more. I was understanding how to build a sales funnel, what price points to use. I was crafting better sales copy, and so every product that I was putting out was getting a lot better. And then after I started doing some training products, it started getting better. I started doing more software again. I started because to me, software has higher perceived value, and more people are just going to buy plugins, themes, software. It's just it's a sexier product than just training, right?
Hmm.
So I started like in the last 6 months, 6 to 8 months, I've really been doing a lot more software because it does sell better, especially in the forum marketplaces.
I've also noticed something that's trademark to you is you do these white screens in the background, and
Hmm.
you're up there, you're standing up, you've got a nice clean picture there, and you're just explaining the products to people. You're very much it's almost like you're a trained marketing guy. Like you can see that you're. And I'm not saying that you're in a bad way. I'm saying that like
Yeah.
you are able to explain these topics to JVs. And is this something you think you got from your marketing background? Is this something that you're pulling in from school?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I was like terrified to do video when I
Really?
first started. Like a lot of people are. I mean, I think a lot of people are afraid of
Yeah.
video. And I mean, I should probably try to find some of the first few videos that I did. I mean, I was fumbling around. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And are you familiar with Gideon Shelwick?
Yep.
Gideon Shelwick is I don't know him personally. We've talked a few times on just through email, but I've learned a lot from him just from his blog and learning, how to, kind of how to articulate in front of a camera, and then also from the quality standpoint, what type of, camera should you use, how to do the white background. I learned that whole white background stuff from him,
Ah, cool.
and I really liked the idea of the kind of the purity of it, the kind of like what a Mac commercial looks like.
Yeah,
It's funny
definitely.
when you watch a Mac commercial, everybody watches it, right? Because it's got that clean screen, it's got the quirky little music to it, and you just pay attention to it. And so that was kind of this. I really like that style, and that's kind of why I started doing that for my videos, but it was something that I definitely had to get accustomed to doing more video. And for every video I did, I was getting naturally better at it. It would take when I first started, it would take me like 50 takes to do a 1 minute clip, and now I can just go up there, bang it out, and I feel much more comfortable. And so it's kind of like practice makes perfect.
I should put some of the outtakes that I do. Like when I sit down, usually before each interview, I'll do an introduction, and then at the end I'll kind of wrap it up a little bit, give links that people can go follow. But there's so
Sure.
many times I'll do it like 5, 10 times, and there's sometimes I'll just nail it. But there'll be other times where I'm just like, hey everyone, this is the mic, and I'm
Yeah.
like having to, or someone will like before we started recording, my roommate came in, or something like that will
Yeah.
happen and interrupt us. So yeah, I understand. Do you feel comfortable now when you're doing your videos?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, especially because, you know, a lot of it is, do you feel comfortable with the information that you're presenting? I mean, if you
Exactly.
understand what you're talking about, it becomes more natural to you. But if there's something that you're trying to explain that you just don't really know much about,
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing to be afraid of speaking in front of a camera, but it's another thing to actually know what you're talking about.
When did you decide to go from marketing your own products into marketing other people's? I
I
want
would
to kind
say,
of dig. Sorry, I want
yeah,
to really dig into that
no,
because that's something that's very specific to you, and you've been very successful with it. So, just the whole how you got into it and how that works. Sorry.
well, I mean that's probably happened over the last 3 or 4 months. It's not something that I anticipated or planned on doing. I just kind of just again, I feel like everything in my career I've just kind of like stumbled into it, and it's been kind of a natural progression for me. I think let me try to think of the first probably product that I did where I promoted someone else's product. I was more of like the JV manager, if you
Was
will.
it contest domination?
Was Contest Domination and Pro Affiliate Theme were two products that I probably did first, where they weren't even my products. I basically kind of came on board and leveraged the audience and the affiliate connections that I had. And so, you know, after doing launches so many times, you start to build your network, right? I mean, you start to have a bigger list. You start to form relationships with affiliates. I started going to more conferences and meeting people, and so I was like, what, I love doing the product creation side of things, but it takes a while to do. And I was like, well, why can't I just leverage what I have and help people out that have high quality products? They just don't know how to go about marketing it. And that's really been kind of a really neat niche that I found myself in over the last 3 or 4 months, and it's been really lucrative. I mean, it's been great for all parties. It's been great for me because I can leverage what I know. I can help out with I have a great designer, I have a great copywriter. I know about sales funnels now. I know I have a great JV audience, and so why not take a product that's already out there on the market that's just not getting a lot of exposure and just repackaging it a little bit, putting it in a system where it's going to be in front of thousands of people who are potential buyers. And so that's kind of what I've been doing recently, and it's been great for the product creator because usually the product creator maybe has made 500 sales or whatever, but they haven't really had that huge breakthrough that they were looking for. And so, yeah, I mean, it's worked out really well for all parties.
Tell me about how you go about finding those diamonds in the rough or under promoted products that you say, okay, this is one that hasn't been promoted enough. I think there's more behind this that we can really, I guess I want to say milk it, but that we can
Yeah.
really benefit. I think that we can get this in front of a larger audience, and it will benefit the audience and the product creator.
Well, there's a few different ways. One is just personal relationships with people. So, like the Longtail Pro launch that I did last month, that was with Spencer Hawes. I've known Spencer for a long time now. We actually worked together on building out niche sites for a little bit, and because Spencer's really into building niche sites, and for a while there I was building out some niche sites, and I actually hired Spencer to help me with building out my niche sites, and so that's how that relationship formed. And then just like recently, we're like, you have this awesome product, but it's been on ClickBank. It hasn't. I mean, it's done okay. I mean, there's been a few thousand people that have purchased the product, which is great. But what are would you be interested in doing like a special offer for a limited time inside of like the a forum setting? And he was all for it. And so that was really just having a personal relationship. But I mean, the thing that everyone needs to realize is that there's opportunities like this every day. Every day, there's so many great products out there that are just not seen. And whether it's someone sent me an email, whether it's like I'm on somebody's list and they did just like a webinar promotion for it, or I'll go on ClickBank or some other marketplaces and I'll just look for products that have a lot of potential. But some of the things that I really look for are, is it going to cater to a large audience? Because in order to do a very large product launch, if you want to do like a six-figure launch, it needs to appeal to the masses. It can't be a very small niche product. Which it's not to say a niche product isn't, it's still good. It's not a bad thing. But if you want to do a large launch, you need to have that large audience that wants it.
Yeah, I think from what you were talking about before with list eruption, that might have been too small
Correct.
of a niche to go into. Or you also mentioned that software is something that has more perceived value. Is that something that you
Correct.
continue to, when you go and look for a product that's going to sell? Is that something that you're kind of okay? I want a piece of software that's going to sell. I don't want it to be an info product. Is that kind of equated into it?
Yeah, I think that's kind of where it's going. The problem, well, it's not a problem, but the challenge with the forum marketplaces is that a lot of products are getting undervalued. People are selling products for $7, for $10, and that's fine. But I mean, like with software, there's, like I said before, there's a higher perceived value. And if it appeals to the masses and it has a great feature set and there's a lot of benefits to it, there's no reason why we can't go and sell that for $27 or $37, which, in the long run, I mean, people are willing to open their pocketbook up for 27, $37, okay? But a lot of these $7 launches, all they are is just a very basic, PDF. It's just a piece of training, which that's not a bad thing. It's just I just didn't go that route, and it's hard to make a launch extremely successful on a $7 product, especially because you're paying the affiliates, at least 50%, sometimes 100%, and so it really just depends on what strategy you're going for. I mean, some people will give away 100% to affiliates because they're just in it to build a list. I've never been like that. I've always been like, if I'm going to make a product or I'm going to sell a product, I want to make some sort of profit off it. I mean, I can't wrap my head around it. So why not offer a really good product that's a little bit higher price, but is an amazing product, but I'm also building a list at the same time. JVs are making money. I'm making money. Everyone's happy.
Is there a price point, like you mentioned 27, I think 37? Is there something where I figure if someone sells something for $7 or they give it away, it's the perceived value is instantly reduced by the audience. They say, oh, if it's free, it's okay, then it's worth free. Then it's worth nothing. Or if it's $7, then I feel like people are more likely to buy it and just let it sit on their desktop. But if you sell it for maybe 17 or 27 or 37 or whatever, there's going to be more perceived value. They're going to see it as something that's got some depth to it, or I hate to say it again, value in it. Is that something that you feel as well?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, whenever you get something for free, you're like, oh, it's free, so anyone can get it. I mean, there's no, I mean, what I've noticed is, kind of, if you have a sexy product, people love it. Like that's why software is so appealing, is because it's a sexy. People like having lots of features and benefits, and you can push this button and it does this. That's why software sells so well. And so does social proof. Even if you have a PDF that that sells for $7, and you have this income proof. Well, I guess it's let me step back here. So if you have a PDF and you're selling it for $7, and you say you made $100,000 from using this method, why would you sell it for $7?
And why would you even need to be selling something like that if you're making like that great of money? Why are you going out and selling something for $7? Like you'd have more patience, and you wouldn't necessarily need to sell it for that little. Yeah, I'm right with you on that.
Yeah, and so I mean, there's real social proof, and then there's fake social proof. I mean, that's not to say that people are launching products that have fake proof, but if you're driving this massive amounts of traffic and you're making all these sales, why would you sell it for $7? I mean, if that's true, you could easily sell that for hundreds of dollars. So, I think unfortunately, the forum launch space has been undervalued big time because of all these lower price launches, and I think it's going to start to make its way back to where it was with these 17 or 37 or $47 launches. just because I think people are starting to get sick of it and they're realizing, I'm not really making a lot of money off of it. And the buyers are willing to spend more, but you need to put more into the product,
Hmm.
Oop,
Say hi for
sorry.
me. Uh, your most recent product launch that's completed, I believe, is Longtail Pro. How much did that do in sales?
Well, we've done about 270,000 in sales, and I mean that's been my biggest launch to date. It's been over 6,000 front end sales, and so it's a great, like I said. I mean, looking back at just what we're talking about here, it appealed to the masses. It's a piece of software. It helps you to uncover long tail keywords. So it can be used for niche marketing. It can be used for blogging. It can be, I mean, there's so many different uses for this product. And so we had a really good sales funnel. So we had God, I gotta remember. We had we had a light version and a full version, and then we also had an OTO, which was we actually put training on the back end of it. And so, I mean, people just absolutely loved it, and it was a really good sales funnel, and it just appealed to everybody. And we got a ton of affiliate promotion. I mean, we were a ton of affiliates mailed for it. And if you have a high converting product, affiliates are going to take notice, and if they're making money, they're going to keep promoting it and keep promoting it. And that was kind of what happened. It was just like a viral launch that all these different JVs came on board. I mean, people that we had heard of, but we never really even were partners with,
Hmm.
and they came on board because they saw how much money people were making off of it.
How were you and Spencer able to kind of decide how much your assistance was going to be worth in this? Did it come out of maybe if you mailed out to your own list, you would get a certain percentage from there, or if you got a percentage of what your JVs brought in? How did that work?
I mean, that was just a conversation before we even decided to launch the product together. So I just, like I said, I already had the relationship with Spencer, so it was actually a really easy conversation, and he kind of had been following me for the last year, so he kind of knew that I'd had some successful launches in the past. And I basically said, well, here's what I can bring to the table. And whenever I work with someone, I'm not necessarily just a standard JV broker or manager, like where all you're doing is just bringing on affiliates. I get in, I treat it like it's my own product. I help, if there's new features that need to be added to it, I'll say, hey, what would it take to add these things? And I'll bring in my copywriter and my designer, and we'll craft a nice sales letter, and we'll work on creating a sales funnel. And if there's no good one-time offers or back-end offers, I'll go and I'll even create some content myself. So I get my hands dirty, and that's another way that I add additional value, as opposed to the standard JV broker that you see that's just really out there to kind of create buzz.
Okay, so what I'm hearing here is what you bring to the table is you come in, you give all the copywriting, you take care of all the marketing of it, and pretty much the product creator is going to kind of sit back a little bit, and you're going to kind of take over the show. Is that correct?
More or less. It depends on the product creator. I mean, a lot of people I work with, we're all entrepreneurs, so we all have kind of we're all control freaks, so we all want to feel like we're in control. And so, but anyone that I work with, I always say, I want it to be as hands off for you as possible.
Mm-hmm.
We're leveraging the product that you had put probably a lot of time, a lot of money into, and I have a fairly good system that works, and so I want to do everything that I can where it's as hands off for you, but obviously the product creator is going to be there along the way. If there's any decisions that need to be made, we make them together. But I create a really nice affiliate area. I like to shoot videos for all my JV areas and for the sales videos. And so like I said, I try to get really hands on and do everything I can to make the launch successful with as little work, or additional work, the product creator has to do.
No, I realize that this might be a little sensitive because it's not just your income that we're talking about, it's also your partner. So I'm not necessarily going to ask you specifically how much you charge, unless you want to tell us. But what I'd like to know is how to go about figuring out, like, if you go up to someone and say, I can bring this to the table, I've got this many JVs that I'm in contact with. How can you go about finding that fee that you should be charging?
Well, yeah. So I mean, I won't tell you exactly, what percentages or what we worked out. But here's what I can tell you. You can do it one of two ways, and I've done both ways. The first way is just saying upfront, okay, here's what I can bring to the table. Here's my track record. Here, on average, how many sales we'll get, how much revenue we can generate, that kind of stuff. So they have an understanding of, okay, well, here's about how much money I can probably make. And so, I won't charge anything up front. Basically, it's just going to be a rev share deal. We'll get X percentage. You get this percent, I'll get this percent, and that's how it'll be. And so that's the one way that I've worked it, and the majority of my deals are that way. I usually don't charge anything up front. And I've been burned too. I'm not to say that every launch I do is successful. I've had more unsuccessful launches than successful launches.
Really?
Of course, you don't hear. Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, you don't hear about those. You only hear about the successful ones,
Sure.
right? So, it's just like anything, anything, you don't hear about the failures in life. You hear about all the successful stuff. So, yeah, I've had some, unsuccessful launches, and, I've put a lot of time and effort into certain launches, and I didn't get the return that I thought we would. And
Tell me about an
it kind of
unsuccessful launch.
backfires.
Tell me about an unsuccessful launch and why it was unsuccessful.
I don't want to mention. I don't want to mention any specific ones. Just I don't want to take anything away
Sure.
from some of the people that I've worked with. But I will say, kind of back to what we talked about, that 9 times out of 10, the product is very, very niche. It's very, very focused, and the concept is like, oh yeah, it's a really good idea, but when you apply it to once you launch it, you realize that there wasn't as much demand as you would have thought. I mean, so it's one of those things where you think it's a cool product, but the market doesn't.
Yeah.
So that's a really key point here, is that it doesn't really matter what you think. It matters what the market thinks. So
Can you? This is going to be kind of a hard one to answer, but I think you can do it. Can you kind of give us a cheat sheet in the way that how would someone go from the approaching to finding the product to approaching the JVs, like that, the process that would go from to launch someone else's product and to do a launch for someone? Can you kind of just give us a breakthrough of the steps without I know it would
Yeah.
be like, probably you could go for hours talking about it, but like
Yeah.
the 5-10 minute version.
Well, I mean, the very first thing is you need to establish yourself. I mean, like I said, like what we talked about earlier, when I first came into the market doing online products, I was new. I didn't know what I was doing. So I found someone that did, and I learned from them, and I leveraged the relationships that he had, and so every relationship that I built, it snowballed. Everyone knows somebody, and especially once you and kind of in the internet marketing space, it's kind of like once you get into the a certain group of people, you can easily connect with people. It'd be like, oh yeah, I've heard of your launch before, or oh yeah, you did a really good job on this, or oh you're partners with so and so.
It
Oh
becomes
cool,
much easier.
let's talk. It becomes a lot easier, and so it doesn't happen overnight. I mean, it took me over a year before I actually got kind of a good breakthrough, and so but once you get that breakthrough, the momentum is much faster, and so what you need to do is establish yourself first, and try working with people that are smarter than you and that know the industry better than you, and then go from there, and then like I said before, start building those relationships, because you never know what's going to come out of it 6 months, 12 months down the road. I have people that I haven't talked to in a long time that are like, hey, I really enjoyed what some of the discussions we had a while ago. I think this may be a really good project for us to work on, and so opportunities arise that I didn't necessarily realize would come up when I created those relationships.
Sure.
But they did, and so that's the number one key is establishing yourself, establishing those relationships. Just like any other business that you go into, online or offline, relationships are so crucial. And so from there, it opens the door, like I said, to so many opportunities that they just kind of either come to you, or you see them in an email, or you stumble across it in a website. It's important to recognize an opportunity when it presents itself.
Okay, so the number one thing is to start creating relationships, which is so much more important than people give it credit for. I mean, just going out and helping other people out. I think one of the most important thing is everyone wants someone else to link to them. Everyone's always they're thinking about, how can I get a link? How can I make link bait? How can I do this? Yeah. Stop asking for it. Stop trying to get it and start giving it to people. I can't tell you how many people, even people with much smaller sites than mine, they'll link out to me, and I'll find it, or they'll let me know, and I'm much more likely to give them some link love back, or to mention them or something, if they're helping me, or if they're trying to do something that's beneficial for me. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah, no, it definitely does. Think about what you can do for them, and not vice versa. I mean, what people always want, kind of their handout. And I've always been the type of person where I like to get my hands dirty. I like to get things done. I like, especially when I first started in my career, I liked doing things. I liked creating products. I liked, building backlinks. I liked doing all that stuff myself. And then, as revenue started coming in my business, and I was able to, hire out, then I could start to pass those things off. But it's so important when you're first starting out to get your hands dirty, and to be able to overcome failure. I mean, like I said, I've failed a lot more than I've succeeded. And I guarantee you most marketers will say that, because, like I said before, you're not going to hear about the failures because they want to just forget them and move on. And so, I mean, as long as you can overcome failure, realize that everybody fails. It's part of your career and anything that you do. But as long as you learn from those mistakes, which, I feel like I've done a very good job of understanding what I've done wrong and learning from your mistakes. And so that's really key in any career that you go into, specifically internet marketing. So
I think I'm going to have you on again and really dig down deep into how you go about launching these sites, because you do a great job with the whole funnel. Like, you've got a whole price point set up, and I've seen on your JV pages where you've got this kind of model now that you're using. And it'd be definitely interesting to pick into that. You've got on your website, stayonsearchcourse.com/signup.php. We'll link to that in the show notes. You've got something going on there. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I thought, I'd just mention a free piece of content, that, not to say that it's undervalued. No. It's a really nice course that I put together. It's a 10-week course. It's free to sign up, and basically just takes you through all the different aspects of internet marketing. It talks about how to do research and analysis for anything that you're doing, whether it's creating products or helping out clients. Whether you're going to do paid search, SEO, content creation. It's really kind of an aggregation of everything that I've learned over the last 7 years, and put into a very easy to digest course. And so if you sign up for it, you'll get one email each week on a particular subject, and it really just cuts down to the nuts and bolts of each topic that I cover. And so I think that would just be something that everyone can benefit from. And it's a nice read, and I put a lot of time and effort into it. And I think it really kind of summarizes how to be really a holistic marketer. And I think it's important to not just focus on one thing. If you're a marketer, just focus on just SEO or just pay-per-click. I really like to utilize lots of different ways to drive traffic and sales. I mean, there's so many different ways to go about making money online that it's important to understand all the different elements of internet marketing.
It's funny that you say that, because so many other people will say the complete opposite. They'll say you need to stop being so broad in what you're doing. You need to niche down and just do SEO or do Facebook marketing or Twitter. But you think the opposite.
Yeah, I do. I don't know if I'm the minority here, but Well, here's the thing. It doesn't happen overnight. You're not going to learn everything in a day, right? I mean, now that I've been doing it for a while, I've been able to learn a lot of different aspects of internet marketing. But you don't need to be an expert in every single aspect of marketing, right? I mean, I would consider myself an expert in SEO because I've been doing SEO since the beginning. I'm not an expert in pay-per-click. I'm not an expert in social media. Yes, I know how to leverage those. I know how to leverage Facebook. I know how to leverage Twitter. But I am not, there are 1,000 more people smarter than me on Facebook, on Twitter, on paid search. But if I wanted to create a high quality, AdWords campaign or Facebook campaign, I could go and do it. And so, it's something that you should just you shouldn't kind of just settle for mediocrity. You should always be trying to broaden your horizons, learn more. But obviously don't get caught up in the learning, because a lot of people will just get caught up in information overload and they never actually do anything with it. And that happens with, probably 75% of people out there, is they buy products, they buy information, and they never do anything with it. I used to be like that, but so I don't know if I'm the minority here, but I feel that in order to be a kind of a well-rounded marketer, you need to at least understand different ways to drive traffic, convert users, and all that kind of stuff. So,
last thing, I'm going to put you on the spot. For people that are going to be thinking about launching a product, which is including myself actually. What's your biggest, maybe a couple pieces of advice that you would give people thinking about putting a product out in the form, whether it be software, whether it be an info product, whether it be training? Generally, what's your biggest piece of advice that you've learned?
I would get your feet wet first. Make sure that product launching is, you don't have to launch products all the time, but and do something simple. Create a white paper or a PDF that you can sell, and maybe that's the best way to start it. Is don't go and invest thousands, like what I did, with invest $20,000 into a piece of software that I wasn't sure if it was going to work or not. But start small, get your feet wet, understand, start networking with people, start building relationships. Maybe try to find that mentor that can either help you, consult with you on a product, or even partner with you. And so what if you have to give away, the farm? So what if you have to pay them X dollars to help you? You're getting so much value and life lessons that's going to help you, in your career. And so that's what I would recommend. Start small. Try not to put too much money into a product that you're not even sure if it's going to work yet. Once you start to build your reputation and you start to build a track record, and then you can start to put a lot more money and time into products. But stay simple and try to surround yourself around smart people, and you'll do fine.
Mark, thank you so much for taking the time out and coming on the show today. If people want to get in contact with you, where can they reach you at?
They can reach me at, so you can reach me at info@searchcreatively.com, which is Search Creatively is my offline business. You can just email info@searchcreatively, and we'll make sure we get your email.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Mark.
You're welcome.
I hope you enjoyed the interview today with Mark. If you're interested in finding out about his Stay on Search course, it's a 10-week internet marketing course. Go to mikefromaine.com/stay-on-search, and you can sign up for that. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all on Monday.